Hello again, this is Khalid Mustafa Ahmed, and we will continue the previous session about kerberizing the network file system version 4 in our Linux data center. In this session, I want to show you how to block the anonymous binding except for the rootdse to the directory server and enable only the secure binding authentication to the directory server. Then we need to configure the Autofs maps on our 389 directory server. But before that, I want to remind you with the scenario we are working on here. We have two projects, Project A and Project B, with two exported kerberized NFS shares, one for each project. Each project have a group of LDAP users working on it, and the user for each project must have read-write access on their corresponding network file system share, so that they are able to cooperate together on their corresponding share, but without being able to access or even see the other project share. In the previous session, we have had already configured the NFS server to export kerberized shares to our network, and also configure each client workstation to mount these NFS shares automatically on access using the Autofs daemon by creating the Autofs maps file on each client workstation, and one by one. But this method is ridiculous, error prone, and also hard to administer, especially when you want to make change to the users or the exported file system shares. And we want instead to use the 389 directory server for centralizing the process of managing users and the Autofs maps, to let the client workstation get the users and the Autofs maps directly from the 389 directory server after authenticating with our Kerberos server, as well as allowing the related project users to securely access their corresponding project share without affecting or even seeing the other share. Okay. Okay. Now we need to stop the anonymous binding, and also we need to enable secure binding to our server. Anonymous binding means to be able to connect to the directory server without first supplying valid credential, bind the N and password to the server, and start searching and read the tree of the server, which considered a security risk to the server. And we have to stop that except for the rootdse entry as recommended by Red Hat. Also, we need to enable secure binding and stop entirely simple authentication to the directory server. Simple binding means your credential will travel through the network in plain text format, which enable anyone with packet sniffer software to look at your password and bind the N, which put your server in great danger. And for that, we need to change the values for some attributes under the config entry, which are the NSS labd allow anonymous access, and set that to rootdse, which is on by default, and the NSS labd require secure binds, and set that to on. And to change the values for these attributes, we need to create an LD file with a suitable name, like secure bind like secure bind and block anonymous dot ldif. Okay. We start the file with a comment line that specify why we are using this file, or the purpose of this file, like block anonymous access, and enable secure bindings. Then the distinguish name for the entry that includes the attributes which we want to change its values, dn colon, in this case cn equal config, and the change type modify in this case. Then we need to replace the first attribute, which is NSS lab d, allow anonymous access, NSS lab d allow anonymous access, and the value for this attribute, which is in this case rootdse, then dash by its own line. Then the second replace the second attribute we want to change, which is NSS lab d require secure binds, yes, and the new value, which is on. In that case, let's review the file. Distinguish name for the config entry, change type modify, replace NSS lab d allow anonymous access, and we want to change the value of this attribute to becomes rootdse, and the second one is NSS lab d require secure binds, and the new value must be on. Then save. Okay. Then we need to use the ldap modify command to apply the file and commit the change. ldap modify simple authentication. You have to bind with directory manager cn equal directory manager and password for the directory manager 8123 and the LDIV file we want to apply, which is secure bind and block anonymous, secure bind and block anonymous LDIV. Okay, and the specified attributes successfully get changed. Now we need to restart the directory server, system ctl restart dir serve at media okay. We can check the status for the directory server. And everything seems good. And to see whether we successfully blocked out the anonymous access to the server except for the rootdse entry, we need to check with LDAP search, LDAP search with sample authentication without binding, and we see that the anonymous access is not allowed anymore. Also to check the we are really blocked the sample bind authentication, we can use LDAP search with X for sample bind, and again bind with cn directory manager with password manager 8123. Okay, and this time we get an error that says operation requires secure connection, and we have to replace the sample bind with dash double Z dash double capital Z to start the TLS secure connection, and this time we get a response from the server. Okay. Now we need to create the Autofs maps files on the 389 directory server that will be used by the Autofs daemons on the different client workstation for mounting the exported shares from the network file system server. As you may know, the Autofs daemons consult the master map configuration file, which is automaster, to determine which mount points are defined, and in our case everything will be mounted under /mount on every client workstation. So we need to create an auto.master organizational unit, and the slash mount entry just below it that will point to the auto.mount map entry on the directory server. Actually, the auto.mount entry is just another organizational unit under which we will create the entries that will define the locations and the options of the exported file system from the network file system server. Our network file system server, which is running on media.khalidma.local host, exports slash project-a and slash project-b for our network with NFS version 4 file system type, kerberizing security level, read, write, sync, hard and interruptible options. And we have to specify this information to the entries which we are going to create under the auto-mount OU entry. So let's go and do it. I have already created an LDIF file for that, but actually I want to use the console to create these entries on our LDAP server. Here is the file. This file contains the entries we need to add it to the directory server. The first one, the first entry we need to add here is the AutoMaster. It's just an organizational unit with auto-mount map object class added to it. The second entry we need to create here is the slash mount entry, which is a child entry created below the AutoMaster organizational unit, and this entry defines the directory that will be used on each client workstation, under which the exported file system will be created automatically on access and mounted under it. In this entry, the auto-mount information attribute will define the location of the LDAP entry that will be used to specify the actual mappings for the export file system. Here it is the auto-mount OU on our LDAP server. The auto-mount entry is just another OU with auto-mount map object class added to it, and below this entry we will create the actual map entries for the different exported file system. Each map entry must have a common name that exactly equal to the directory name we need to create under the slash mount dir on every client workstation that represent the exported file system. Then on each entry we have to specify the exported file system options here, and the location from where we are going to mount this export. This information must be specified in the auto-mount information attribute for each export. So we need to create two child entries under the auto-mount organizational unit, one for project A and the other one for project B. and in the auto mount information we have to specify the NFS options for the corresponding export, and from where we are going to mount this export. Okay. Now let's use the console for creating the Autofs entries on our 389 directory server. Again, we can refer to the Autofs LD file when firing the console. Okay, then expand the tree and double click the directory server directory. Let's expand the top entry or the suffix. Then we need to create the first entry, which is auto master organizational unit, by right click the top entry, new organizational unit with name auto master. Okay, the description let be the master map, the master map OU, the master map. That's enough. Then click advanced. In the object class area, we need to add the auto mount map object class by click add value, auto mount map, select auto mount map, and okay. All right, and this distinguished name for this entry is OU equal automaster, comma DC equal Khalid MA, comma DC local. This is okay. Okay, and here is the entry we just added. You can select it and right click new. This time you have to select other to add the slash mount entry with auto mount object class added to it. Okay, and enable show attribute names, and this common name should be slash mount, and in the auto information, in the auto mount information attribute, we have to specify the LDAP protocol column and the host name for the C89 directory server, media.khalid.ma.local, then colon, then the organizational unit that will be used for including the real maps for the export file system, which is auto mount dot mount comma DC Khalid MA comma DC equal local. Okay, but note that the distinguished name for this entry use the auto mount information as an RDN, and we have to change that and use the common name instead. And to correct this, we have to click change and click the common name. Okay, now the distinguish name will use slash mount comma ou equal automaster comma dc Khaled ma comma dc local. All right, and here is the entry. Now we need to create the auto mount organizational unit. New auto dot mount the maps for the NFS exported file system advanced. Okay, and we need to add the auto mount map object class to this entry. Added value auto mount map. Okay, 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 and here is it. And right below this entry we need to create the real maps for the exported file system, which is project A and project B. So we have to select it and new others. This entry should include the auto mount as you see here. Okay, and the auto mount information consists of two parts separated by space. The first part should be the export file system options space, and from where we can get this export from media.khaled.ma.local, which is our network file system server, and slash project A. This is the exported dir from this server. The common name, this should match the directory name that will be created on access on every client workstation, and let it be as we set here, project A, and also we have to change the distinguish name here to use the common name instead of the auto mount information. Okay, and for the other share you have to select the auto mount object class and then do the same thing here. Just enable use attribute name, and we can copy the export file system options, enlarge it. Okay, space, and from where we need to get this export, the common name project B. Okay, and we have to correct the distinguish name here use the common name instead of the auto mount information, and we are done. uh, okay. Now we need to create the project groups, which are group A for project A and group B for project B on our C89 directory server. Then added the project members to their corresponding group. So we have to select groups, new group, group name. It should be let's see that on our network file system server. List group A, for description you can use project A group. Okay. Enable POSIX. Remember when we configured our network file system server, we had created these groups on the NFS server and adjust the permission for the exported file system to allow the members of the project groups to be able to cooperate together on their corresponding share. So for proper operation we have to use the same GID number here to match what we have done on the network file system server. And let's get the GID for group A. Grep group A slash etc group which is 2000. Okay. And the member is Ines, Khaled and Tariq. So we can add these members here. Okay. Okay. Enable POSIX, and this is the group, the GID members. Okay. 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 And for the other group, which is group B, project B group, it's POSIX, and we have to use the same GID on which we have chosen for this group on the network file system server, which is 2001, and just added the members, which is Omar and Tux. Omar and Tux. Okay. Okay. I guess it's enough for this session, and we will continue the discussion in the upcoming sessions. So keep following. If you have any issues about this video, please comment me to let me know. Thank you for watching, and bye.